Hola from Los Cabos, Mexico. I'm just about to check out and head back to California. But this one comment on Instagram inspired me to make a quick video. And I know that many of you will be offended by the title. But the truth is, the cold, hard truth, is that nobody, absolutely nobody gives a shit about how you feel. You know, this was a realization I made a few years back. Before making that realization, I was a victim, or in Polish, ofiara. I was very negative. I wasn't able to take responsibility for my life. Instead, I chose to blame others. I pointed fingers. I complained so much that my friends told me to shut the fuck up. And slowly it got to me that nobody gives a shit about how I feel. And it's such a powerful and important realization, because when you finally internalize that fact, you stop feeling sorry for yourself. Self-pity is the fuel of victims, people with a victim mindset who feel like they're trapped in their life, that it's out of their control. People who blame others and complain. You know who you are. You know who you are. But listen, hear me out. Like, I was that person too. That's why I talk about it, because I've been there. It's a terrible place to be. Let me see what this guy wrote exactly. Okay, first of all, he announced that he's unfollowing me. That just means he has some sort of issues with his ego and feels that that's somehow important information for someone. He wrote, motivational posts can be detrimental. Moderation is key. Signing off with bye-bye, see you in another dimension. But it made me think, it really underlined this fact that that guy's a victim. That guy is a total victim. Nobody's forcing him to follow me in the first place. He could have just, it's not content for everybody. Some people are meant to be extraordinary. Others are meant to be cheap and just be the average, mediocre people. You get to decide which category you want to fall in. And it's fine to be in either. But it made me think that moderation is key. That is such a bullshit statement. It awakens in me this really cold, hard realization that moderation and mediocrity is a curse. It's a disease of our generation. We are so spoiled. We get so easily offended. We avoid any sort of difficulty and adversity in life, not knowing that the only way to grow and to become an extraordinary human being is to face head-on the most difficult, the most uncomfortable situations in life. And the more you do it, the more you grow and the happier you are, because you know you're not cheating yourself. You know you're putting in every last bit that you're able to into whatever it is you're doing. Is it a marathon? Is it business? Doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit how you feel during that process. It's a battle against yourself. That's what life is. Nothing more. And so when you realize all that, it's so empowering, because all of a sudden you realize nobody cares. Everybody's living their individual battle. Everybody's focusing on their own bullshit. Even your parents and your friends, you might complain to them. They might listen for a second, but they'll forget and start thinking about their own bullshit and their own problems and their own struggle. That's the way of life. I know it upsets people, but it's the truth. Nobody gives a shit about your feelings. And the sooner you deeply take that inside, the sooner you will be free, you will be liberated, you will be inspired to have that daily battle against yourself. I've been, doing that for many years. In the beginning, I didn't know. I thought maybe it doesn't have to be like that. Maybe achieving success can be pleasant. Maybe I'm doing something wrong because I'm tired of this constant battle of doing things that I don't want to do. But in the past few years, I understood very deeply and profoundly that that's the only way forward. You do not learn anything about yourself when you're having a good time and relaxing and not putting in any effort and not putting in any hard work. You don't learn anything. everything that's worthwhile in this world requires effort, requires struggle, requires pain and suffering. And that's the only way forward in life. And the more you struggle in life, the more you get to know who you are. And so moderation is crap. Moderation is for people, for the masses that want to be mediocre, for the people that just copy what other people are wearing, other trends, and are afraid to be themselves. You know, that's most of people because that's easy. That's comforting knowing that you're doing something that someone else is already doing. But to be extraordinary in anything, you have to look deep, deep inside of yourself and find out who you really are. And the only way you can get there is through years of painful struggle. And it's such an important and beautiful process because, you know, I'm at this point where I know I'm going to continue putting myself in very uncomfortable situations for the rest of my life because that's the only way that you can learn, on the boundary of comfort and discomfort, on the boundary of order and chaos. 1 foot here, 1 foot there. That's where knowledge lays. Most people spend their time in order and comfort, just stagnating, just plateauing, just being average, just complaining, saying everything is out of their control, not realizing that it's their own mind that creates this shitty, like, limited reality. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. Like, nobody gives a shit about your feelings, and as soon as you can really process and internalize that, you are free. You are then free to battle the only person that matters, and that is yourself. And you know, like, I just posted the marathon episode before. That was an incredible journey. I have never suffered so much physically for such an extended period of time. I have never experienced such a deep, deep desire in my mind to give up, to stop, to walk, to sit, to say, fuck it, I don't need to do this. But I kept going through for around 1 hour of like pure suffering. It was incredible. You know, finding little mechanisms to switch off, to not focus on that sort of innate need of the mind that it always looks for some sort of point of reference in the future where you know you're gonna finish and be done. I just switched off in the moment. I was trying to be present, try not to think about the past or the future, just be there step by step, winning. And I learned so much about myself through that suffering. I feel like I'm a much better person now, and I probably will do another marathon, even though my physiotherapist shit says I shouldn't with my back. It was such a priceless experience, and I understand why people do it. There were really low points for me where I had this really, really deep desire to just say, I'm done, I don't need this. And I noticed I started behaving in this interesting way. There was a lot of people cheering us on, and I noticed I started making like a face to try to show everybody watching how much I was suffering. I think I was even subconsciously like limping more when there was more people, trying to get attention. Really, really interesting thoughts were going through my head. I caught myself. I'm like, wait, why am I behaving like this? This is some sort of childlike behavior, trying to get the attention of his mother by crying, by, you know, making this sad face, like, oh, I'm in pain. Nobody cares, I realized. Nobody gives a shit. There was 25,000 other people suffering equally, if not more. And I realized this last part of the marathon, this is me against me. Nobody else exists. And I kind of zoned out and just kept going step by step. And I started, to an extent that I could, I sprinted at the last part of it, just to show myself that I am not a bitch, I am not a pussy, that my inner bitch does not control me. But it was really interesting to see that, and I realized I used to do that so much. The complaining, the kind of like, oh, I'm upset. It's to get attention. But when you realize nobody gives a shit, you stop doing that. You stop feeling sorry for yourself. You get your shit together, and you start performing at 100% for yourself and for nobody else. And it was so powerful to sort of experience that in that physical environment. And it's kind of a similar thing to my struggle with business. You know, I consider my journey in business as some mega ultra marathon where I've been suffering every day doing shit I don't want to do. Very difficult stuff that I'm totally unmotivated to do, but I knew I have to do that stuff to prevail, to achieve the success that I want for myself. Not the success that I want to show everyone else, because that doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They'll look at your, people look at you for a brief second, and like I said, they go back to their own individual struggle. That's the truth of the world. And it's an important realization. It may be a little bit upsetting for many of you in the beginning, but for me, it's liberating. It's so peaceful. I cannot get offended by what people write or say about me, because I've exposed myself so many times. I've been shitted on by so many people saying this and that this guy is whatever. But through that struggle, I am now immune, and I am now only facing my own internal struggle and not this external sort of futile struggle. So that's why I like saying the struggle is the way. The struggle is the only way forward. And life till the day you die will be an internal battle against yourself every day. And the more you push yourself, the more you grow, and the easier it gets with time. But if you have a character like me, you will keep finding, greater and greater struggles, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty. You find yourself. You learn who you are, what makes you really tick, what makes you who you are, like really deep at your core, at your soul. And you cannot find that in any other way. You cannot find that through hedonism, through drugs, through sex, through drinking, through partying. That's all escapism. Escaping the reality of life, that we are beasts of burden, meant to struggle and put in hard work. But in this modern society, you don't have to do fuck all to survive. You can order food on your app. You can have a shitty average job and live in a decent place. You don't have to do anything. And a lot of people choose that comfortable, shitty life. And that's why they're depressed, because they don't know who they are, because they don't put themselves in uncomfortable situations, which you have to do to be happy, to progress, to grow. I'm slowly thinking about doing another marathon, half Ironman. I want to learn who the hell is Rob Gryn. I want to learn that for myself. I don't need to show anyone anything. Like, I've come to this beautiful point in my life, and mind you, I used to do everything to show others what my worth was. My self-esteem was very, very low. I thought very low of myself, and I would look to build that self-esteem by trying to impress other people. It's a dead end. It's a shitty way to live your life. I've been there. I've grown out of it. Looking back, I knew I had to go through that to get to where I am now. But learn to live your life every day for yourself, to prove to yourself what you're worth. And then when you're on your deathbed at the end of your life, looking back, you'll be like, you son of a bitch. You fucking did all of that, man. You put in that hard work. I am so proud of you. And you look at yourself, in that way. And that's probably my biggest fear, is that the fear of regret, the fear of approaching the end of my life and looking back and thinking, you piece of shit, you lazy, comfortable son of a bitch, you didn't do anything. You could have lived the most extraordinary life. You could have built a $1 billion company, traveled the whole world, climbed Mount Everest. You could have done all of that. But you chose to be comfortable. You chose to be mediocre. You chose to do things in moderation, and you cared what other people thought when they didn't give a shit in reality. So that's my message to you. Think about that. And I gotta go back to Santa Monica. Peace.